Alright guys, well, it's time to talk a bit about a sad anniversary. For all you longtime followers, tomorrow would be the 2-year mark that I lost my wife to uterine sarcoma cancer, and basically when my life changed forever. It's kind of, looking back on things, it's been, this year, 2018 has really been a rebound year. You've followed my recent videos and all that. It's really starting to, come back to, I've got focus in my life again. I've got a new job, new woman in my life. But, my emotions from the past are still catching up with me. They haven't quite caught up on, with my new reality yet. Kate has been inspirational in helping me. She suffered a loss 2.5 years ago, going on 3 for her. She lost her fiance to a drunk driver, and of course, that was instant. I could never even imagine anything, going through anything like that where it's instant. This was kind of gradual over 7 months. You go from vacation in June 2016 to the diagnosis, and then to just gradual downward slide to 7 months later burying her. So, basically I'm just kind of been reminiscing in a sense, on my past. It's not that I want to, it's just, flashes of the past have come back, whether it's in dreams or just, flashbacks or whatever, of the last days and hours of her, before she passed. I guess it's just, kind of haunting in a way. It's like some of the visions are, haunting me from my past, and it's weird. Kate's even said that time, heals all. So, and she's right. Last year I made my final trip to Mexico, not because I wanted to, but because I felt I had to. I had some unresolved stuff to get done down there, but more or less it was for closure for me. Now, for some of you newer subscribers, there's some that joined my channel back then when I made the announcement I was going to head back to Mexico, and a lot of people had really kind of, a lot of those new followers had turned against me, like I can't keep living in the past type of thing, and I'm not going to go into it. It's just on and on. Some of them I had to block because they were becoming trolls, and they did not have a clue as to what I was going through and the reasoning for why I went back, one more time. So, but yeah, I guess my emotions are still coming back. 16 years of what I was used to. It's tough to just close the door on and turn the page completely. And for me, it's been, as you've seen, since Kate's come into my life, everything has really just been on the up and up. New job, new woman, all that. It's just, I guess, my emotions from the past are still not quite up to the new reality yet. And I never thought I'd have someone new in my life this quick. My main focus, and that's the thing, I'd really lost focus when she passed. Even though we had a lot of disagreements, even arguments, mostly about money, because there was really just a lot of money going south to her family that, it was not known to me. I mean, I knew there was some going down there, but not the extent that I found out afterwards. Tens of thousands of dollars that was sent down over years. Now, I know with the culture, that's kind of something that's, typical. You come here from Mexico and other countries south, you have a chance to earn dollars, and you send those dollars south to your family, because dollars go a long way. Especially last time I checked, it was still around 17, 18 pesos to $1. So, the dollar has power down there, and that's what I think happened with my late wife, was that money corrupted her to a point where her family became more of a priority than us. And for whatever reason, we couldn't work together on common goals for the future. We bought land down there. We'd even thought about retiring down there one day. Obviously, that's not going to happen now. Those dreams are over. And more or less what's really come back for me recently is just the images from exactly 2 years ago. Like, this is January 9. Tomorrow, January 10 at 6:30 Central Time was when she took her last breath on this earth. And yeah, that's tough. Even today, 2 years later, it's still tough. But it's from the trip from Acapulco, being in the hospital the last day that she was alive. She was really just going in and out of consciousness. I know for a fact she was talking to her dad, who had passed away in January of 2002. I think it's January 21. I don't remember the exact date. So I know she was talking to her dad in the hospital room, just in and out of consciousness. I mean, her eyes were, like I'd never seen, because they're kind of glazing over. Doctors had come in that morning before they, released her from the hospital, saying there was nothing more they could do. And they're just, she just had this look, looking at the doctors like, help me. But there's nothing they could do. We contacted the ambulance, the driver. I believe his name was Miguel. He spoke English. He was from LA, so he spoke English. I contacted him and said, hey, we need you. We need you to get us back to Iguala. They released her from the hospital. There's nothing more they could do. And I remember riding in the back of the ambulance, with her. The day before she was in the hospital, her nervous system was starting to go. The cancer was starting to spread. And she was just wanting to get back home to be with her mom. It got to the point where they had to tie her down. They had to strap her arms to the bed because she wouldn't stop moving. She just wanted to grab her purse and her stuff. She was even telling me, let's go. Vámonos, let's go. She wanted to be home with her mom. Well, we got her there. I'm riding in the back to about 2.5 hour trip. Man, I thought for a couple times we were gonna, get in an accident. I mean, if you've followed my road trips to Acapulco, there's a winding road between the capital of Chilpancingo and Iguala. Very mountainous, winding roads. And there were a couple times that I thought we were going to wreck. I'm with her the whole time. I'm just, I'm watching through the front window, but I'm holding on to her, she's strapped to the gurney in the ambulance. Just trying, telling her we're going to get there. We'll get there. We did. We got there. And of course, word started to spread. Family and friends all started to come over because they knew it was the end. And yeah, it was, oh man, these are the visions that I've had, whether at home or at work, that I've been having lately. It's just, my gosh, just the reality of that. It's still fresh in my mind. Eventually it'll pass. The memories will fade, and it's just, trying to get through it all. Trying to get through, thinking back on what could have been, what you could have done differently, but really, I look back and I did everything I could. I mean, despite the arguments, despite the financial deception and all that going on, I was with her to the very end. I just felt that it was my responsibility as a husband, despite the trials and tribulations, that I needed to be there. To do whatever I could. Whether it was just simply pushing her in a wheelchair up the mountainous road or sidewalk. The sidewalk had holes and cracks and I'm trying to avoid. I mean, I was simply there I was the brawn, the brute force, trying to get her from here to there. And helping her get on the bed for the CT scans and MRIs and everything that she was going through. All the arguments and everything that we had, we had just said to each other during the arguments meant nothing. It was all set aside because she needed help. But yeah, I mean, the sad truth, the cancer hit. By the time it was discovered, it was too late, and all we could do was try to make her last days on earth as pleasant as possible. You look back in hindsight, what if this hadn't been discovered? Where would we be at? Would we still be arguing? Would we still be together? I mean, could things have really just started going, where, we were going to go our separate ways? I mean, you don't know. I mean, the way I was raised and the way I believe, when there's a time in need, it doesn't matter what differences you have, you just do what you can to help. And I did. There's things you could have done differently, but again, there was stuff that she had her priorities, and I was not a part of that equation to a point. And that's the toughest part for me. There's still resentment, there's still anger, but there's a lot of sadness as well. Why we couldn't work together on common goals, and that will always be a mystery to me. Why we couldn't work together on common goals. I understood she had to support her family. I understood, she was helping her brother and her mom, but then there was other things off the beaten path. Our boutique was failing for 3 years. We were losing money. We were paying out wages and utility bills and rent. We weren't making anything. She refused to close it. She refused to shut it down, restructure, maybe move it to her mom's house. I mean, there's just, things that you go back in hindsight and think what you could have done differently. But again, it took both, agreeing on goals to make it happen, and she wasn't on board with it. So it didn't happen. You think, well, if she would have saved the money, instead of sending it south to help her family, it would have been available to help her in her time of need. You kind of wonder, again, what could you have done differently? But, you know, again, back in hindsight, it's sad. It's a sad reality that, you know, how it happened, why it happened, you know, fate stepped in for whatever reason, stopped the financial madness. And that was one of the first things that I thought too. After she passed that morning, you know, the arguments are finally over. I mean, it's kind of a morbid thing to think, but it's like, you know, the financial madness and deception was stopped. The arguments had ceased. There was finally peace. For her, I guess, you know, there was peace for both of us. Yeah. Everything happens for a reason. I firmly believe that. You know. And for whatever reason, this had to happen. You know, it gave me a second opportunity at happiness, a second chance. You know, learn from the past, move forward, and, you know, be happy. And I am. I am happy where things are going, how things are proceeding. But I just got to get over these images that still haunt me to this day of the past, of her final days and hours. You know, this time 2 years ago, I was going on 2 days. It would have been 3 days tomorrow of no sleep. It was just, I was really starting to. I mean, I was starting to get a little loopy myself, just trying to maintain my sanity to continue to just be there for her. But everything is just so, it's still so crystal clear to me. It's just bizarre. You know, hopefully next year, you know, things will have faded by then. But it's just, you know, I remember that there's stuff that, again, I haven't talked about. I couldn't. You know, it was just very, very difficult. It was just too difficult to talk about. You know, Kate and I have had discussions, you know, multiple times. I mean, she's comforted me more than I've comforted her, you know, because of, you know, the losses we went through. But I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. You know, why everything just seems so vivid, you know, 2 years later. But, you know, tomorrow will be the 2-year anniversary. You know, we would have been married 16 years, but actually the 14th, January 14th, would have been our 18th anniversary. And I had to think about that too, because, you know, Melanie, you know, my goddaughter, you know, she was only a month and a half old when we got married. And yeah, I talked to her. She's honestly, you know, some people ask if I still talk to the family. Melanie's the only one I really talk to. And I kind of did that on purpose because there was just really a lot of, you know, what was going on behind the scenes with the financial issues going on. I just felt that, to me, you know, I need to start over. I need to move on. It's not that I want to ignore them and put them in my past. It's that I have to, for my sake. I need to move forward and all that. But no, I do. I talked to Melanie off and on. She's doing good. She's 18 now. You know, just turned 18 back in December 1st. And yeah, she's probably going to be looking at going to college. She's looking at probably getting her passport, her American passport, renewed, which has been expired, I think, since, I want to say 2013. Yeah, it was only for 5 years. So now that she's 18, she can get it on her own. And you never know. She, more than likely, she may come to visit one day. Maybe I'll get to see her. But as for going back to Mexico, I know people still ask that too. No, I'm not. I'm probably not going back. It's just the memories, and it's. I could tell just by the, that when I went back last year, this time it just wasn't the same. I mean, I just felt like I needed to, not come back again, to move forward with my life. So, that's just the way it has to be. So, yeah, it's weird, but I just figured I'd go ahead and try to do a 2-year sad anniversary, I guess, 2 years recollection of where I'm at now, what I've been through, where I'm going. Whatever you want to call it, just 2 years of recollection. A lot of times I keep asking why it happened this way, why it had to be this way. Never have those answers, it's just, just thinking back, even the funeral was I didn't record it. I went into a pause for 4 days after her passing and didn't come back until our anniversary date, 4 days later on the 14th. But the funeral was beautiful. Flowers, I mean, just flowers were everywhere inside the house, inside her mom's house, from friends and family. Then afterwards, taking the casket to the church in downtown Iguala, right in front of where Tacos Porky. If you see my Mexican videos, right where Tacos Porky is. And then we walked, followed the van. They had her coffin. We had a mariachi band. That was awesome too. Yeah, mariachi band playing music the entire way. From the church, 2 miles, maybe 3, to the cemetery in Iguala, the main cemetery in Iguala. And then, watching her get lowered into I guess the sarcophagus. It's in the ground, about 8 feet down, easily 8 feet. The mariachi band's still playing. Then the full moon came up over the mountain that overlooks, that is in Tuxpan, the mountain where the lake is. Full moon had come up over the horizon, or that evening. We're still playing. The music was still playing. Family was still there. And for those 4 days, I just simply tried to get it together. I had to catch up on sleep. That was tough. It was just really, really tough. Looking back on the past, it was, something you can never plan for or prepare for. You think of death with family members like grandparents. They lived a long age, but then sometimes it happens prematurely. Like what happened with Kate. Car accident took her fiance. What happened with me? Cancer took my wife. You just don't get prepared for that. There's no way you can. And then trying to heal in your own time. Sometimes it takes longer for some, and obviously me, it's taking longer than, who knows, what the time frame is. I don't know. All I know is I'm still kind of getting over my past, but I'm not letting that affect my future. And for the new subscribers, don't get me wrong, my current status of my life is great. I'm happier than I've been in a long time. Yeah, I've had issues with my crazy boss at work from time to time, and sometimes that makes me think about my past. Like, I wouldn't be in this situation if we would have worked together. With so much of our money didn't head south to Mexico, and now I got to start over and rebuild my finances. Starting over at 48, trying to keep my house from losing my house, because I was falling behind on the payments because I was in Mexico for so long. Getting my life back in order these last couple of years. It's been a task. The main thing was just trying to find a job. That was my main focus when I got back. I needed to find work. And I did. I found a part-time job that helped me get through, temporarily. Rented out the mega shed for a little while. That helped substantially. And then, of course, Kate had been in my life for probably over a year and a half. We'd just been talking. I needed someone to talk to. I couldn't talk to my parents. I couldn't, keep bombarding them with my depression, my misery. And we would talk. We'd talk for hours. And then, of course, that's when you got to meet her around my birthday, June of last year. Did not know her at all till, when we started communicating. It was probably a little over 4 months after Yachty had passed. And, we would just talk. And that's really all it was, just talk. I needed someone to talk to back then. Of course, you fans were good, the comments and all that stuff. But, you just have to, you need someone human to talk to. And that's, where Kate came in. And, yeah, I look back on the past, and it's so much that we could have done differently. Maybe this could have been avoided, but again, what's happened has happened. And it's really just, like I said, it's kind of like a twist of fate is what I call it. The madness was stopped, the arguments were over, and now I have a second chance at happiness. And, at what cost? Cost of my wife. It's, her life. And it's just, to me, that's just bizarre. But, yeah, so, anyway, that's kind of my rundown on things, trying to get through the past and continue to move forward like I've been doing. But like I said, don't get me wrong, my past is not affecting my future. I'm not going to let it. I've got goals, I've got focus again, and I'm going to continue working on towards the future. And we'll do it together, Kate and I. And but yeah, I just figured for now, while memories are still fresh, of course, the images that keep coming up in my past. I guess it's because of the anniversary coming up. It's been creeping up little by little, and now the anniversary is basically here. Tomorrow will be the 2-year mark. And then 4 days later would have been our 18th anniversary, and you just get through the hurdles. That's all I'm doing. It's. Emotionally, I'm still behind, but I'm all right. I'm not. Never had suicidal thoughts. Never once. I had reasons to live, despite what I went through and what happened. I basically lost focus, and now I've regained focus in my life again. And I was just kind of drifting there for a little while, but yeah, things are going well. But yep, hopefully that answers some of your questions from comments past. I think I've pretty much gone over everything I wanted to, but probably should have sought some counseling, you know, because that's the most traumatic thing I've ever gone through, watching your spouse, you know, die beside you. I mean, that's, to me, there's just nothing remotely close to, you know, something that traumatic. But, you know, you just move forward, you know, move on, move forward, and that's all I'm doing. So continue on, you know, keep on keeping on, so to speak. So anyway, until, yeah, I guess the next video, I hope that again answers your questions, and, you know, thank you again for your support, you know, over the years. You know, obviously things have changed, and, you know, Mexico unfortunately will not be, you know, part of my channel anymore. So it's just the way it is. So until the next video, adios.